There are 45,000 teachers in Ontario's English Catholic schools working in classrooms that range from kindergarten to grade 12. As with the other three unions representing educators in this province, they are currently engaged in some tough negotiations and escalating job actions. Liz Stuart is the provincial president of the Ontario English Catholic Teachers Association, or OECTA as it's called, and she joins us now for more. Nice to have you in that chair.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in tonight.
Thank you.
Well, you've announced a province-wide single-day strike for the 21st of February.
We have indeed.
How come?
Yes. Well, I mean, I can speak on the behalf of OECTA. I mean, we have reached a point where negotiations just aren't going anywhere. We actually haven't been at a table now for a fair few days. And we have done a couple of rotating strikes. We made the decision to once again, bring all of our members out. And we have very common interests and concerns.
Among the unions.
Among the unions. And so we felt, maybe it was time that we all step up together and in one voice make the statements that we know need to be made.
Is it your view that the rotating strikes just have not had the impact you'd hoped had so far?
I think our hope had been all the way through that the government would come back to the table ready to have some real dialogue with us, and having heard the concerns certainly of our members and of the parents and students they serve. That obviously has not been the case to this point. So we decided, okay, well, this is our third, for us it will be our third one day that we've done where we bring everybody out again. So.
And what's, just sort of remind us, because all the unions do things a little bit differently, are you guys, are your teachers filling in report cards? Are you doing extracurriculars, or what's happening on that front?
Our teachers did put marks into report cards, so we did that piece. We inputted the marks. We did not do comments.
No
we
comments.
did not do comments. And frankly, I'll say the conversation you have with your child's teacher is far more informative than comments on a report card. And yes, we are continuing extracurriculars. Our focus has been, and we're in a slightly different position in that we have developed a very good relationship with our Trustees Association. And we truly believe at this point in time that it's the Crown and the government that's the stumbling block. So we have tried to tailor things so we impact as little as possible the boards and the parents and the students.
You say as little as possible, but you're not going to deny that there is an impact on the classroom, obviously.
Absolutely.
How negative an impact do you think it is?
I think it's always impactful. Which is why we take such great time thinking about what the best next steps are, which is why we talk all the time around best strategies. We understand what we're asking of parents when we remove our services for a day. But what we have to think about is long term. This isn't about tomorrow or next week. This is about the future of publicly funded education in this province, if these cuts are allowed to go unchecked.
I presume, Liz, that the Ministry of Labour, or whoever it is that organizes the negotiating, hasn't called your side or the government side back to the table because they don't see any point in putting you two in the same room or even in adjoining rooms at the moment. So someone's got to put some water in someone's wine at some point, right? The government would say they have. They've gone down on class size. They've gone down on the mandatory online courses. What are you prepared to compromise on?
Well, first of all, I'll address that statement by the ministry, right? It's a bit like us saying, well, we really wanted class sizes of 17 to 1, but we're willing to move to 22 to 1, right? It's the same argument, right? And I'm sure people would say that would be unreasonable of us. What we're saying is, 22 to 1 should be where we're at, because that's how students get programs. That's how we're able to provide the richness of education that the minister freely says he believes our students have a right to, as do we.
Would it be so much, worse if you went from 22 to 25?
Well, I'll give you a for instance. Right now, and I believe it may be in Mr. Bethan Falvey's riding.
This is the president of the Treasury Board.
We have one of our schools where I know there's 71 courses that won't be offered next year. That's a significant loss in one school. that's a significant loss to those students. It's a significant amount of programs that won't be able to be offered. And so how do we provide the pathways for students that they need if we can't provide the courses they need?
Okay, no consensus on class size, no consensus on the mandatory online courses, clearly no consensus on salary and compensation. Is there anything you can tell us tonight where you say, you know what, we have made progress here? What is that?
Well, I mean, as you know, OECTA does not bargain in the media. So, I mean, we haven't
I was kind of hoping you'd make an exception
I
for us.
know, I'm sure you were. But no, we don't actually do that. But I will say that, you know, we began negotiations, gosh, it feels like such a long time ago, but in May of last year. We actually made a fair amount of progress at that table, having conversations with our Trustees Association, because we come from the same standpoint and we have the same end goal. We might have different ways of getting there, but we have the same end goal. And that is to make sure that our students have access to the best possible education system they can. And for me, so my members have the best possible working conditions. If we have a common goal, we can find solutions. Then when we flip to now we're working with the Crown, because the Crown are the ones who, you know, have the monies and talk about the class size piece. If the Crown's focus is permanent savings and not successive students, then it makes it very, very difficult for us to be able to problem solve and move ahead.
Why is it either or? What if what they want is better students and also permanent savings?
Because you can't do both. You can't remove supports from schools. And I will say, you know, when you look at the reports coming out, when you look at the increased violence in schools, when you look at, you know, the increased diversity within our schools and the increased needs of our students, increased mental health needs, for example, we were stretched pretty thin previously, but managing to do extremely well with what we had. When you start to remove some of those building blocks, well, then you destabilize the system.
Most polls I've seen show that people like teachers. They may not be thrilled with union leaders, you'll forgive me for saying, but they like teachers, they like their kids' teachers for the most part and so on, and people respect teachers. They are content to have teachers be well paid. But there is a law in this province right now, passed by this government, that says 1% is the max that any public sector union can settle for. And you guys want more than 1%. And I guess the question is, why should you be entitled to something that no other union is going to get?
What we have said consistently is we believe that compensation belongs at a bargaining table. That's where we have never floated a number out there as an association, because we have said, no, those conversations happen at bargaining tables. That's where you have that rich dialogue, because that's where you make those movements.
But this is a guide. The government's saying, sure, have the conversation at the table, but there's the maximum. Here's the maximum we're prepared to pay.
It's significantly more than a guide, because when you look at the legislation, not only does the government say, you know, 1% is it in compensation, it also goes further and talks about, and an arbitrator can only award 1%.
Yes.
That's a great deal further. So, you know, I think it's disingenuous for the government to say, well, you know, we're just trying to treat everybody equally. And I think just on the basic principle that, you know, free collective bargaining and a free and voluntary collective bargain deal, which I know is something the minister likes to talk about all the time, well, that involves conversation at a table, not through legislation or I'll say through regulation, because the government also brought in regulations around class size while sitting at a bargaining table with us, in fact, the very day when we were talking about class size. And we are currently before the Labour Board on an unfair labour practices.
You saw the poll, obviously, in the Toronto Star the other day, which suggested that the public is with you in your championing smaller class sizes and an end to this business of online mandatory courses. But they're not with you on wages. And I wonder if, given that's where public opinion was at the moment that that poll was taken, admittedly a snapshot, is that the makings of an agreement where you guys temper your demands on wages and they temper their demands on class size and online courses?
Those are the exact conversations we would like to have at a bargaining table. That's exactly the conversations we would like to have at a bargaining table, with the Crown sat in front of us, with the authorization to actually bargain so that we can move this forward. We have been very committed and focused throughout this that our main drive is making sure that we can roll back the clock on these regressive cuts. We can make sure students have access to programs that they need, and we can make sure our most vulnerable students still have access to the programs they need, because that's the other piece to this. It's not just the class size, it's the cuts that were made that removed programs, that removed those special education pieces. I mean, for us, it was over 320 positions, teachers who were dedicated to our most vulnerable students.
I do need to ask you about how united the unions are, because this is not your first rodeo, and it's not my first rodeo watching these negotiations. It has occasionally been the case in the past where the unions are in real solidarity at the beginning, and then the government, can sign an agreement with one of them or with two of them, and one or two or three others are left outside the tent. Might that happen this time too?
I think our focus is very, very similar. We all have the same desire. We all have the same end goals, which is making sure our students have the programs they need. Like that's our common theme. Are there other things that are happening at tables? Yes. Do perhaps each of us have slightly other foci that we're looking at? Yes, I would say we do. But we are firmly together on the fact that we cannot accept the regressive cuts that the government's brought in. We just can't do it.
No, I hear you, but I think, I can't remember now, was it 8 years ago when there was, another teacher dispute with the government of Ontario, and your union, the Catholic Teachers Association, settled first. And my recollection was your union brothers and sisters in the other unions were not too happy about that at all.
Correct.
Is that a cautionary tale for this time?
No, I don't believe so. I believe that, at that time, the association acted in what they felt was the best interests of its members, as we would expect any of our sister affiliates to do. In this instance, though, we're faced with sweeping cuts that affect every student in this province in every single system. And so we are all fighting for the same thing in many cases.
Here's a dumb question. Have you met Stephen Lecce? Like, have you had a conversation with him like this, one-on-one at a table?
I have met with Minister Lecce twice. Once the June when he was first appointed, and then again just in September, because of comments he had made in the media. So we wanted to have a conversation around keeping bargaining at the bargaining table.
What kind of vibe did you get off him?
Well, I will tell you, in that conversation, the minister very passionately spoke, as he does in the media all the time, about wanting the very best for our students, about making sure that students had access to programs that they needed, about his respect for teachers in classrooms. But the issue is, you can say that, but if your actions don't show that that's the path you're on, then we have a problem. If you talk about how much you want students to succeed, about you want them to be digitally literate, but then in the face of all studies, force programs on them that all educators say it is not a wise move.
This is the mandatory
as
online.
in e-learning. Then how can you possibly truly have that goal in mind? If that's your goal, we share it. Let's have that conversation at a bargaining table.
Well, here's what the Minister of Education, I know you've never heard him speak before, but he says stuff like this. Sheldon, if you would.
I think what frustrates parents the most is that if you have a high school parent, if you have a high school student rather, you may recall that when they were in elementary school, they also faced the cyclical escalation of teachers' unions in 2015.
But to be fair, this happens because of the contracts being negotiated every 3 to 4 years, right?
Well, the contracts are every 3 or 4 years historically, but the decision point to escalate against every government across the political spectrum, it rests singularly and exclusively with the teachers' unions, who did it against Bob Rae, Mike Harris, of course, as you noted, Kathleen Wynne, Dalton McGuinty, the education premier, quote unquote, and now Doug Ford. So I think that there's not much in common, respectfully, with Premier Rae and Premier Ford, but the one common denominator is that there's an escalation. And I think what that shows is that it's not necessarily government policy, it's just the approach that the unions will take to the government of the day.
Education Minister Stephen Lecce on this program with my friend Namki Wanuka a couple of weeks ago, I guess. He's not wrong when he says the teacher unions have been unable to make nice with a lot of different premiers from a lot of different political stripes. So why is this one any different?
Well, I mean, there's a couple of things. There's a lot to unpack, actually, in those statements, but I don't think we have time for all of it. So I'll keep it to the near past. Let's keep it to the recent past. So I would say when we look at this minister and we look at what he says and he talks about historically, and I will say, are there ups and downs in bargaining? Of course there are. I mean, I have a very clearly defined job. My job is to make sure I'm doing the best I can for my members.
Yep.
But we also within that say, I can't do that job properly or to my members' satisfaction if I don't advocate for the students they serve every day.
He'd say the same thing. He'd say, I have my constituents that I have to satisfy as well, not just at the cabinet table, but parents and students as well.
And so therefore, then come to the table and let's have that conversation. That's not what's happening. And, in the past, if we have issues with different governments, yes, we did. But I think we have to remember the last time all of the teachers in this province were out on any form of picket line was 23 years ago. The minister likes to talk about how there's been ups and downs. This level of pushback from unions has not been seen for over 20 years.
Well, if you're talking about teachers in the streets, yes. If you're talking about teachers taking the government to court, I mean, you guys took Dalton McGuinty to court as well. So,
well, we didn't, but yes.
Not you guys, right. I guess that was the secondary teachers in that case.
And FO, yeah.
And elementary teachers, right. So I guess my point is that this feels like a relatively frequent occurrence. I'm not blaming anybody, I'm just saying this feels like a relatively frequent occurrence that you can set your watch to. And at the end of the day, how do you suspect parents and students regard the whole mess?
Well, I think what we have to do is recognize, certainly when the last court challenge was in place, it was on very similar grounds to this court challenge as well, which was centered around the removal of constitutional rights, the removal of being able to freely bargain at a bargaining table. Now, that's a principle that, we'll stand behind and say, no, we should be able to do that. So I think that's separate and distinct from what's happening within our system. And the minister can divert and talk, and I know they like to talk about union leaders and union bosses, and I really struggle with that title.
He kept, in fairness, he kept that rhetoric to quite a minimum until more recently.
Yeah. But, I still struggle with it. I mean, I'm a grade 2 teacher, right? I mean, right now, I happen to be leading my members.
Yeah.
But I don't make decisions in isolation. I make decisions with, I have 45,000 members and 97.1% of them voted in favor of strike. That's not just Liz Stuart deciding that we're going to head off in this direction. This is me making sure I'm representing my members and making sure I'm representing what they want this government to know. And what they want this government to know is they will not allow their students' education to be put at risk. They're students they serve today and the students they're going to serve in the future.
I got a minute left to ask you something completely unrelated to this, okay?
Sure.
Next month, March the 7th, the Ontario Liberals are going to have a leadership convention. They're going to pick a new leader. And one of the people running for that job, a guy by the name of Alvin Tedjo, you're nodding your head, you know what's coming. He's as one of the planks in his platform, he has said, the time has come to stop favoring one religion over all others when it comes to publicly funding education systems, and he would essentially defund the Catholic school system and unify the school governance system under one, I guess, secular banner. What's your view on that?
I think that Ontario has had a world-class publicly funded education system. I think that we have, 4 pillars in that. We have, our public, we have Catholic, we have French, and we have the French Catholic. And it's been highly successful. And we serve, a third of the students of this province. I don't understand why Mr. Tedjo believes now would be a great time for us to turn that on its head. I've heard a variety of different arguments coming from him. I will say our classrooms are very diverse. I think if you go into any one of our classrooms across this province, you will see a very diverse population. And in terms of cost savings, we know it just isn't there. So, I appreciate Mr. Tedjo's arguments, but, I believe that we have a world-class education system we should be fighting to preserve.
I'm not sure his argument focuses mostly on the money, but rather, how does it still make sense in 2020, not 1867 when the original Confederation bargain was made, but why does it still make sense in 1867 to fund one religion's school system to the exclusion of all others?
Because I think we have a rich history here in Ontario, and I also will say again, we have an exemplary system that has those 4 pillars and works. You know, like I say, we have over 500,000 students who are in our schools every day with a massively diverse population, and I believe it serves Ontario well.
Okay, that's Liz Stuart. She's the president of OECTA, the Ontario English Catholic Teachers Association, and we thank you for coming into TVO
Thank
tonight.
you.
The Agenda with Steve Paikin is brought to you by the Chartered Professional Accountants of Ontario. CPA Ontario is a regulator, an educator, a thought leader, and an advocate. We protect the public. We advance our profession. We guide our CPAs. We are CPA Ontario. And by viewers like you. Thank you.